Alright, so now with our plant build, let's start building the environment. Because of course we need some elements of the environment in order to be able to do our dirt sim. Because of course we want our little plant to come out of the dirt. And the dirt is of course going to be contained inside of a jar. So we need at least a jar in there. And we might as well also do the rest of the environment. Then we're going to do the dirt sim. And then after that we're going to do the lighting and shading. So let's first just grab a jar. So I've used this one. So yeah, here's the code. Again, in the downloads for this project, I put a text document which has all of the assets in there. So you can just use the codes in the Quickshot bridge and then you'll be able to find the same assets. Or you can just use your own assets. I mean, you don't have to use the same ones that I did. You can just use whatever you want. So I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to open the plugin. Don't need to use the Atlas splitter, redshift material, that all looks fine. And I'm just gonna say, let's see if everything is set up properly. Alembic, I want alembic, so that's fine. Material preset, offline, specular. Looks good, let's press export. Generally takes a little bit, but so we have our little jar and our jar is a little bit on the small side, or we just made our plant a little big, but that's okay. We can just make our plant a little bit smaller or our jar a little bit bigger. Let's just, okay, let's just make our plant maybe just a little bit smaller. So down here. Or you could also meet in the middle, but let's put a transform down there. Let's do show all. Yeah, so something like that. So then we have here our container for the jar. And let's move everything up a little bit probably, because if we're gonna look, so everything is not quite moved exactly like we wanted to. So let's go into the flower pot. And let's say that we want to maybe move it up by 0.3. I think you could also, by the way, instead of doing this, if you go in here, there's also, if you lose align axis, it's a labs tool. So in the labs tools that you installed earlier for the material, that also includes this one. So labs align axis, only if you checked to also use beta tools, by the way. So there's production tools, is beta tools. Everything labeled with beta won't have any of the other stuff. So if you put this, let's actually put it there. You can see it will just align it to the min axis. It's just, you can do the same yourself, but it's just an easy way to put everything just on the ground. And let's debug again. All right. So now let's move our plant up a little bit more. Let's maybe make it a little bit smaller even. Right. So something like that. I think probably I want to change my thickness of my thing a little bit. Let's just go a little bit earlier to how this looks. Looks pretty okay. Let's move it a little bit to the side. All right, let's make an output. So because if we make an output, it's always going to output to that node. All right. So it looks decent enough. By the way, you could also cache this plant if you wanted to. Might be a good idea maybe, because we also have some chops going on. Maybe you can just say file cache. And let's say that we wanted to, I don't know, let's do 200 frames. And call it plant grow. Let's just cache this out. And at least these chops don't have to constantly keep cooking. So let's just put load from disk. All right, so now we have something we can load from disk. Oh, by the way, we want to do the transform after we do that. So let's save it again. Just drinking my coffee. All right, so something like that. So let's not put the dirt in here just yet. Let's do some grass in the center. So let's just look for some grass. So let's just look for some nice nice grass that we can use. Let me just look what I used in my original. Oh, that was the leaf. Yeah, it's a little bit messy in my original thing, of course, as I didn't. When you're just working yourself, you generally just trying stuff and then you clean it up later, or you never clean it up and then it just remains a mess. Right, so I'm just gonna copy and paste that code. All right, so we can just do is, but again, you can use any grass you want, of course. You don't have to use the same thing as me. Just make your own version. Oh, that's weird. Wait. Plans, 3D. How are the settings set properly? That's weird. Okay, wait, let's should find, unless they removed it for some reason. Oh, okay, there it is. So this is the code. So I use this one. Let's just go here. I'm gonna use open the plugin again. Okay, the plugin is hidden. 1 second. Right. So it's one of those annoying things. If you don't close it down, it's not gonna come back up if you click on the thing. So you have to, well, you have to like actually close it down all the time. All right, so I'm gonna use Megascan scattering, because then it's automatically going to set up some scatter settings for us. We're going to go in here, export settings. Looks okay. FBX, right. All right, let's just press export. Taking a little bit. All right, there we got some grass. It's way too big, but it's fine for now. What we can just do is I just go into this thing. Let's scatter the grass, so that's this thing. And let's go into the scatter setup node. You can see right now what it does, let me just hide it, is it scatters on this grid. So here's the simple scattering HDA. So let's just do it differently. Let's just make a circle. Let's make it on the ZY plane. Let's just show other objects. And just do something like this. I just liked how sort of had this. I was first playing around with also just making a realistic environment, but I kind of like just the stylized look of it just being a black environment with a little bit of grass. Right, so let's do a circle and make it a little bit smaller. All right, and on the simple scattering, so this is just a pre-built HDA. You can dive in here and see what they did. This is just pretty basic. Just scattering and setting normal, like setting orients, setting p-scales. So you could also do that yourself, but I mean the built-in tools are pretty okay. So it's just super useful to have everything like this just come in and working. So on the, let's just go on the density tab. I'm gonna turn off slope because I don't really have a slope on my steady thing. I'm going to go into scatter and just turn down the total count. Like let's do the p-scale smaller. So in the p-scale tab, let's just have a look at the overall multiplier. It looks like I need to hide. I want to jump out of this setup for now and just hide these, because I don't really want to see the variations. I just want to see my scattered stuff. All right. So you can see these are now only the scattered ones. So let's just make them a little bit bigger. And let's do, I never understood this stuff where they go above the 1. It just makes it kind of, I used to do that, but it's kind of makes more sense to keep everything like this, because you have a randomized value between 0 and 1, and why would you go over the 1? It's just, I guess, easier to just do it with the overall. What we probably want to do, because we don't want to scatter inside of this thing. So probably what we want to do is on our polygon here, let's make it on a circle, let's make it polygon, let's make it high divisions. Put it to open arc, so now we just get a circle, and just do poly extrude. Plug it in there, and then just put this distance inset. So now you can see we get sort of a inset here, and then it's only going to scatter, well, not where the plants are at least. All right, so let's have a look. Let's make that a little bit, right. The thing that I forgot to record initially, so I'm recording this after I recorded the rest of the episodes, but what I want to do still is on these source objects, let's just go over to the original thing here, where we have our grass, and we want to add some movement. So we want to add some windy movement to this thing. So what we can just do here is just add an attribute VOP. We're just going to add some noise in there. So just dive in there, and we want to add some stuff to the position. Let's do a, just put down a turbulent noise, my favorite noise, always put that one. So let's put the position in the input position, make a 3D noise, put it in there. It's a little bit extreme, of course, but let's promote all of these parameters. And let's first just turn this down a little bit because it's a little bit extreme. Let's increase the frequency and let's put it to zero-centered simplex noise. So we don't want to do this on the entire thing. We want to like stick it at the bottom. Well, we don't have a curve hue in this case. So what we can actually do is we can maybe just use the height. So if we just look like roughly how high this would be, if we look at the side. So here's 0, here's 1. This would be 0.1. So let's say 0.15. So what we can do is we can say, let's first grab our amplitude here. So double click on it so we get this thing, and we want to multiply this by something, and we can use the height. So let's say vector to float. Let's plug our position in there. Then we can use the height of our vector to float, so our y value, and let's range this, fit range. Right, and we're gonna say .15, so we're only gonna grab from 0 to 0.15, and then we're gonna map that into a 0 to 1 value. And then we're going to put it into a ramp parameter. Spline ramp. And we're going to multiply the amplitude. So this will function somewhat similar to like if we had a curve view, but now we're just mainly using the height. So let's see which side we have to grab. Right, so that seems okay. So now you can see the bottom will stick, but the top part will move. Let's decrease the roughness. Let's do a little bit of amplitude. And let's just put maybe $T in our offset. Maybe times 1.2. Let's maybe increase the frequency a little bit. So that works. Maybe we want to randomize this a little bit more. So we could say is on the offset. Let's just add something to there. And what do we want to add? We want to maybe say that we want to do a random function based on the primitive number. So that's going to be for every individual strand. So every individual strand will have a random thing. So let's put a 3D vector. And let's add that to the offset. Right. So that works. Maybe still the movement is a little bit uniform. So maybe instead of doing it with the offset here, let's put this to 0. What we could also do is just say, maybe we want to just add the time. Just add it to the offset. And then I guess what we could do is we can call another random function I know I'm going a little bit fast with this, but I'm kind of expecting most of you people watching this to sort of understand VOPs. If you don't, again, check out my Houdini 101 course. Like, a lot of it is for free on YouTube, so you don't really have any reason not to watch it. Just check out the parts with VOPs. So that goes over a lot of this in more detail. But I'm gonna grab this random function. I'm gonna put it to 1D output, so float. And I'm gonna say, so this is gonna generate a value between 0 and 1. Then I'm gonna do fit range. And I'm gonna say 0.5 to 1. So now we're gonna get for every primitive a random value between 0 and 1. We're fitting that to 0.5 to 1, and then we're gonna multiply the time that's gonna go into the offset. So now we should have some that move a little bit slower and some that move a little bit faster. All right, so that looks pretty good. So now if we go out of this whole thing and just go into scatter setup down here, we have some grass that's moving. So I see not every single one is moving, so we only, because we're only doing this on one of the instances. So we probably want to, so we have this, let's also put it on this one, and let's also put it on this one. And now, yeah, this all works. All right, so now we have some movement on our grass as well, so that makes everything just a little bit more interesting. You can, of course, play with the speed and stuff, but yeah, this looking pretty good like this. So you could say we created a grassroots movement over here. Oh snap. I guess something like that looks pretty good. Maybe what we want to do actually is, because also we need this, we also need a little dirt patch down there. So probably what we want to do is going up a level, make a geometry node, call it dirt patch or something. No, not path. Patch. Let's move maybe these nodes inside that node and do a out node. And let's do this one in a object merge. Into this object. And all right, is that working? All right, that looks like it works. I guess let's do another one where we inset it a little bit more. We cover the entire thing and then just make that one a regular output. So this is going to be the out scatter, because we do want the dirt to go all the way underneath the jar, right? So out scatter. And just the regular output is what we're going to be displaying. And let's do a UV project on that one, because later we can then do UV. Maybe we don't even need UVs, by the way. I think I'm going to do triplanar, but let's just for the sake of it, just add some UVs. All right. So that's looking pretty okay. Just make a ground plane. Something like a grid. And I'm thinking that maybe I'm just gonna copy and paste this thing. Maybe I just, instead of, I think I'm gonna make the scatter one smaller, because we didn't even really need to do this separate node now, but whatever. Because the grass patches that are being scattered are a little bit wide, so they kind of get over the edge. Okay, so this looks pretty okay. Let's just do a camera that we can sort of look from. So we have this camera. Let's just shift space on our plant. So I just do a wide one. Just set up our shots roughly already, so because we kind of want to know. So I guess let's call this shot 1. Let's do another camera. Oh, by the way, maybe we want to have a like a little bit more focal length. Kind of like it if it's a bit flatter here. Let's copy and paste that camera and just go into this one, and let's just do a closer one where we sort of look at it like this. And then shot 3, let's go move upwards. Let's, okay, let's just hide all of that stuff. All right, so let's just really zoom in. Let's do the shot 3 to make it like very close. Something like this, I guess. Right, so let's animate these cameras a little bit. So we have some camera animation going on, like I had in my original as well. So I guess we could do is just in the shot 1. Maybe we should rename these to shot 2 and shot 1, because the close one is where we're gonna open with, right? Right, so let's just do shot 2. All right. So let's do shot 1 first. It's going to be the close one. So I guess we could, with this one, just say, maybe we just want to slightly rotate it or something. It's not going to be, of course, exactly the same as I had it in my original, but timing is still a little bit different. But I mean, you need to just tweak this to your heart's content. It's maybe a little bit fast what we're doing. Maybe what we want to do is change the timing up a little bit. So I guess what we could do is, before we put it into chops, let's do a time blend. I think that might work. Let's just see. Put it to speed. So then we can put it to, let's try 0.7. Let's see if this actually works. It might screw up, but maybe not. Okay, that looks okay. Let's just try. Okay, that seems to work. Okay, then we can go into the chops, so that works. And we need to make sure that that's unpacked, so that's fine. Let's also change our timing of our leaf grow to change a little bit then. Let's just cache it out again. All right. So just playing around, because if it's gonna move through the dirt, we don't want it to, of course, be too fast. So let's just see what this is gonna look like. Okay, these leaves start way too early. Just remove the cache for now. All right, better probably. Yeah, so just cache it out again. Luckily with this type of setup, it's actually quite fast. We don't really do a lot of we don't really do any simulations, right? It's all faked with chops, and it's mostly SOP stuff. Those of you that know me, it's like I always try to do as much with just SOP level stuff anyway. All right, so this is looking a lot better. So change our camera animation a little bit more. Just go into this thing. Let's just drag this over. Right, so that's camera animation number 1. Let's do shot 2. It's going to be the wide one, so it's not necessarily shot 2, because actually shot 2 is the close one, but let's just call it shot 2 in this case. Let's just hide that one, right? So maybe we want that one to also move a little bit. Alt click. I guess it's just we can just move it up slightly. So it just had a little bit of movement. Right. And then shot 3, close one. So let's just say that it's gonna move up a little bit. So in terms of timing, I guess let's just start somewhere around frame 120. Let's also key the rotation. Just move up. Let's move ahead. Let's just move it up and let's rotate it upwards a little bit. And let's with these keys, let's not do any easing. Let's just do a straight movement. So no easing, else it's going to be an in-between shot. So you don't want it to ease in and ease out in the in-between cut because it's probably going to look a little bit weird. Let's do the same on the translation. Right, so let's just play this. 120 to 200. So if you want to try this out to see how this works in the edit, I suggest just making a flipbook of all of your shots and then just putting it in your editing program like Premiere or Resolve or whatever you're using. And just before you do any renders, just put them in an edit, see what it looks like. That's also what I did. What I generally do, like before I do any regular work, I always like do animatics and stuff. And when I make actual shots, always make flipbook and then put them in the edit, because you don't want to render stuff and then after that come to the conclusion that it doesn't really work like you want it to. Okay, so these leaves are still way too extreme. I think I'm gonna go back to my leaves real quick and just make the animation a little bit slower and tweak this a little bit, and I'm gonna come back here and just show what it looks like. Okay, so I changed it a little bit. It's still not perfect. I'm still not completely happy with this timing, but at least it's well, it's better than it was. It ends way too quickly, so it's not ideal, but I mean it's better. So, but really for your own thing, like keep working on this. I've already done mine. I do like the overall look of the plant, like with these nice little branches and stuff, but the animation needs some more work. So yeah, I guess with that out of the way, we got most of the stuff here. We got the dirt patch. We got all of the stuff animated. So now we can move on to doing the dirt sim inside of the jar. And then once you have the dirt sim, of course we can start lighting and shading.